Welcome to this workshop on the RSE Competencies Toolkit. It's great to see so many of you here. It's a really exciting subject. I'm going to be giving a kind of 5-10 minute introduction to this project and what it's all about. And then we're going to have a breakout session, which I'll explain more details of, and then we'll come back together. But I wanted to talk a little bit about how this project started, which was 2 years ago, and what the motivation is behind it and how it's evolved over the last 2 years and what the current status is. I found myself kind of spearheading this project after it was formed, which is great. I have been a little busy over the last few months, and so I've put this slide deck together. Hopefully I can do all of the work that we've done justice. So the Competencies Toolkit was started at an SSI collaborations workshop, Hack Day. So that's the last day of the collaborations workshop back in May 2023. And at the time, it was a really popular kind of Hack Day group, lots of people. We achieved a lot in that 24 hours. And since that time, we've had loads of interest. We've engaged with loads of different events. And every time we go, lots of people turn up to talk about what skills do we need to learn, and how as a community can we really think about standardizing and formalizing the type of understanding what skills that we need, identifying career pathways, and understanding what opportunities we have within this field. So these are some pictures from that collaborations Hack Day, which I wanted to share and just acknowledge everyone who took part in that group. It was a really, really fun day. And I think that we started with this question at the start, and the formation of this group and the Hack Day is, it can be really, really difficult for us as RSEs to understand what skills we actually need to succeed. What does it actually look like? What do we need to do in this job, and how do we acquire them? And even if we learn these skills, what does it actually get us in the end? Like, what's the opportunity and where are we going to go? So the idea behind this toolkit is that we want to provide a way for RSEs to measure the skills that they have against a standard kind of checklist and metric, provide them with a facility to actually plan their path forward, and then ultimately identify the things that they need to learn and what the pathway looks like. There's lots of competency frameworks out there that already exist, and the idea is that we have a very specific framework for the nature of the work that we're going to do. But for me, personally, I think one of the biggest things about this and the project that we're trying to do is that we're not trying to replicate work that has already been done, and I'll be talking about the related work that we're leaning on. But one of the things that we really want to do is design the framework and define what it is, but as research software engineers, build a web app service on top of it that can be transferable to other frameworks as well, that allows all of us as RSEs to be able to log in and build this kind of personalized, visualizable skill profile, so that we can very easily at a glance understand where we're strong, where we might need to develop, and how do we compare across other groups and with other areas of focus. So RSEs are very, very diverse, and hopefully you can see by these kind of skill profile wheels, we can build wheels that are very granular with skills, or we can build wheels that are very broad in subject areas. And then as people start adding their information, it becomes this really valuable resource for us to understand what different types of RSE kind of profiles look like, and are they actually transferable between groups as well. So yeah, we really want to build this web app service that that adds onto top of the competencies framework, this very visualizable web application service that we can use as a community. So I said that there are lots of other groups thinking about this idea of competencies and skills and training. So there's the German RSE group, a teaching group and working group that have been thinking a lot about this, and they've published a paper on this, which I've shared the link to. It's definitely worth looking at that to understanding what other people are doing. So Emma and Malvika's project at the Turing, so they're doing a lot of work on professionalizing traditional and infrastructure research in data science. There's the UKRI Network Plus grant that Jonathan Cooper is leading on, that's being formulated at the moment, and that's focused on a number of things, but one of the strands is skills and competencies, and so there's a lot of intersection between those two things as well. And as a project, when we meet, we try to look outwards to think about what other organizations are doing in terms of their skill framework. So Emma Hogan is here, and she has given us lots of really valuable information about the Met Office framework that's being developed, and we've leveraged that quite a lot. There's also the Netherlands eScience job profiles and role descriptions as well. So there's lots of groups around the country thinking about standardization of job profiles in the RSE space. And we all need to come together and think about what the commonalities are between these, so that we come up with a public community framework that's useful for everyone. There's co-led and co-organized sessions here at RSE. So there was the leaders meeting on Monday, a satellite event, and that had a whole session dedicated to understanding skills for leaders. And so there'll be something published that's out of that. We had the career development panel for RSEs yesterday, and I think that was a really, really interesting subject with different voices from funders through to industry and obviously RSEs as well. And I think the engagement there and the number of questions just shows, and the fact that you're all here, like people really, really are interested in this subject. And then tomorrow there's the RSE training and professional development birds of a feather session. So there's this training community, which is very vibrant and active. So if you're interested in the subject, definitely encourage you to go along to that as well. So that's a very whistle-stop tour of what the project's about and kind of what's happened over the last 12 months. The agenda for today is that we'll have a breakout session that starts in a couple of minutes, and it'll last for 50 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll do a quick 15-minute roundup and wrap-up. And then I'll explain how we can all get involved in the next steps as well. There's going to be 3 breakout groups. And the first one is going to be led by Alex and Emma, and Eli will be the online facilitator. And this is going to be focused on identifying and grouping skills together. So this group will stay in this room, and there'll be a kind of hybrid option that people online can engage with through the Padlet board as well. This is going to be run as a kind of how to make toast workshop. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but I am going to play a video. I've just realized that, no, I think we're good. So this will play.
This brings us to our third part of the exercise, which is to draw how to make toast, but this time in a group. So what happens then? Well, here's what happens. It starts out messy, and then it gets really messy, and then it gets messier. But as people refine the models, the best nodes become more prominent, and with each iteration, the model becomes clearer, and because people build on top of each other's ideas. What emerges is a unified systems model that integrates the diversity of everyone's individual points of view.
That's a short extract of a video, and if you join this session, you'll watch a long video to understand exactly how that process will work. But it's basically saying through diversity, we can collect more information together and build better solutions. So you're going to be identifying groups, skills, and then grouping them together in that workshop. Breakout 2 will be looking at user scenarios and use cases for the framework. Be led by Gabriel and Matt, who will be the hybrid facilitator. We'll be we're kind of going through user scenarios that have been identified and discussing a day in the life of an RSE and understanding how the framework might support these kind of daily activities of people who are performing kind of RSE work. And then the third breakout is focused on the development of the web application itself, and that's going to be led by Becky. and that will be an in-person only breakout. So you'll be able to find a space somewhere in the venue and have that discussion. Considering web app requirements, putting them together and kind of sketching out what a prototype architecture might look like for us to start development as well. So have a think about which breakout you'd like to go into. If you want to go in breakout 1, just stay in this room. If you want to go to breakout 2 to discuss user scenarios, go to that door. And if you want to do breakout 3, go to that door. And we'll meet back here at, I've forgotten, 2:30. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hopefully you've enjoyed those breakout sessions. I am particularly enjoying that wall. So if we can wrap up your conversations and take a seat, we're going to just invite all of the leads of the breakout rooms or some other people to come up, I think. Hope someone's taken a photo of all of that. So yeah, it looks like, hope everyone's enjoyed their breakout sessions. We'll just do a quick summary. So all of, I think there's people who are going to come up and try and summarize the discussions that have been had, and then I'll just briefly end with if you're interested in this, how you can get involved and the next steps. So breakout 1, I believe there's 2 people who are going to come up and summarize. So if you'd like to come down. Pip. Yeah. So I'm not sure the mic handheld, so if you can just...
Yeah, you start at the bottom and I'll go.
Yeah. That's not a good idea, is it?
Yeah, let's stand in front of the speaker.
Okay, I was going to read off the post-it notes.
So probably, as long as you're not right in front of the speaker, you can probably...
Okay, so down this end we moved the sort of technical skills that a RSE writing code and developing software is going to be doing. So we had the fairly nebulous software engineering and programming, and then underneath programming, all of the skills that go into that. So reading error messages, formatting, linting, version control, debugging, testing, and event-driven testing, profiling code and code refactoring, using and optimizing code. Programming languages came here under that as well. So C, C++, Fortran, compiled codes, Python, other interpreted codes are available, and GPU programming. Some data science, things down there that probably fit into there somehow, but we didn't get around to it. And then moving up, we had some platforms using HPC, cloud, and configuring servers. And then over here, we had maybe the more senior advanced skills of software design and software architecture that someone like a senior RSE or a principal RSE might be doing and helping out more junior RSEs with, so designing software stacks and skills and thinking about stuff like that. So that's that, and I'll pass over for the other type of skills.
Okay, so the next slide is a little bit more soft skills, which we're starting off with a range of project management skills, including things like planning, risk analysis, organization, allocating time and money, scoping, and I think we have requirements in there somewhere. There's things we haven't fully finished. Then we moved into things like more writing focused and note taking, and then specifically things like grant writing. And then pushing over to more individual time management, prioritization, and switching. And it's a little bit of a, down here there was we started moving to the sort of interpersonal, where you had things like delegation, line management, onboarding, so the sort of more direct, followed by the mentoring, coaching, interpersonal, and leadership, which is a bit more of a less formal but still critical. Then we moved into the explaining all the complex problems, which again may not be an ongoing specific role. Close related is managing expectations, and the learning side of it. Up above, we had a lot of community building related event management, facilitation, outreach, and so on. And kind of going back down from the learning, we had a lot of things around communication and listening. Closely related was collaboration, and then some sort of specific things like patience, enthusiasm, empathy, which are necessary. And then we have a sort of problem-solving aspect, which we hadn't quite fitted in, but is going in there somewhere.
Thanks very much. So mic's working now. It helps if you do turn it on. Gabrielle, do you want to summarise the great breakout two?
Right. So in our breakout, we looked at the life, a day in the life of an RSE, and the main point we found out was that people recognize themselves in this scenario, and then also they felt that the scenario is actually helping them reflect better on how the framework itself, the competency framework, may be useful in their lives. One point that we took from this is that flexibility is important. Rather than using the framework to rigidly create the shape or the shape of an ideal RSE, this has to remain flexible so that each team can use it according to their needs, according to the specific context in their own teams. The fact that also the framework should also work not only at individual level to define where you want to get and how you achieve these by getting proper training and acquiring the respective skills and competencies, but also can work at the team level, and these can define how you organize your team, how you recruit new people in your team, how you present your team to your line, to your senior management, and so on. And the fact that finally there possibly may be a tension between the flexibility of the framework, which is needed, as I said, to account for all the different types of RSE existing across the UK for now. And the fact that this may be used to work across the institutions and find some commonalities that would allow to use some of the specifics of the framework across in other institutions. So these were some of the main points that we took from this.
Thank you very much. And so we'll just hear from Becky on the web dev things.
Yes, thanks, Dave. So we didn't actually get much past user requirements, to be fair, because we didn't have that much time. I think what did come out of it was that we determined that we're probably sort of quite a few different types of user. So we decided there would obviously be a standard RSE user. There might also be an RSE manager who might want to use it. There might be like people who aren't RSEs, but who might be RTPs, so research technology professionals who might be looking at perhaps moving sideways into RSE, who actually might want to be able to use the tool. And then there might be somebody who might be a student, or there might be somebody who was kind of taking an interest in the tool from sort of from the aspect of actually doing like research in it and looking at data and looking at patterns and trends and so on. We drew the made quadrants on the paper, and basically we all wrote out suggestions on user stories on post-it notes, and then we've grouped them by theme, and yeah, that's basically it.
Sounds great, thank you. Absolutely, yeah.
So going back to the breakout one skill session, we also had an online contingent doing sticky notes online. We touched on many of the same points. There is a lot of things around, like we realized that we'd just put writing software on its own with nothing else around it, because everything else that we talked about was separate to that. So there's things around project management, planning, prioritizing tasks, breaking down tasks, team working, in collaboration, a lot of things around communication and effective communication with different groups of people. A lot around like grant writing, managing finances, things like that. Yeah, and a few other smaller groups, but my screen, it's all really small on my screen, so I can't see it all. But yeah, so thanks everyone for discussion.
Thank you, Eli, and thanks for the people online with participating in that breakout. So I think this has been a great session. I'm always amazed, like when we do these sessions, you just scratch the surface and people just start talking and have lots to say about these things. Basically, the next steps, if you're interested in kind of following on from these discussions and seeing how all of this data is going to be used within the framework, just come and join the project. So we have monthly calls, and you're very welcome to join them. They're on the second Wednesday of every month at 11 a.m. But if you join there's a Slack channel on the Society of RSE workspace. We have a mailing list. There's GitHub repo. If you scan the QR code, which we'll put in the Slack, it'll just take you to the website that has all of this information. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming.